What's up, everybody? It's iCkEdMeL, and I just wanted to give you guys a quick little update on this story. No camera. I wasn't even planning on doing a video. I was really supposed to take a break tonight because I'm pretty tired. But the 5-year-old girl has passed away today, all right, in the hospital. I think she was on life support. If you haven't seen the original video from yesterday, make sure you checked it out. I have some video footage of the scene and all that kind of stuff. And, I went off yesterday because I knew this was a possibility, and I also knew that this was avoidable, And I saw somebody in the comment section say that a lot of people outside of the U.S., they don't have car seats for their kids. They just drive with their kids in the car. And then I looked on the post for the article, and I saw this Uber driver talking about this. And he said, listen to this. I'm an Uber driver / Lyft, and I constantly am having to decline rides for parents without car seats. I have been cussed out, had stuff thrown at my car. I've also had to deal with false claims made by passengers upset that I would not take their small children without car seats. So maybe this is more common than I thought. I thought a car seat was like a very common no-brain kind of thing. It's also something that doesn't cost that much money. I even pulled up a listing on Craigslist for $20 because I can totally understand the financial aspect. Sometimes $50, $60 or $100, you might not have it. You can even buy a used one for $20. And this is just kind of sad. Rest in peace to Akeena and Keanna. I don't know what's going to happen from here as far as, is there going to be charges? The godmother is driving the car. If you see in this picture too, that's kind of a little ironic. There's a picture here where she's sitting in the car. This was posted on the GoFundMe by, it looks like, a family member. The ironic thing about this picture, and I could be wrong, but it looks like this little girl, she might be the 5-year-old, she's sitting in a car, and it looks like there's no seatbelt on her. And if you could tell by the background, it looks a little blurry. It almost even looks like she's on the highway, if you ask me. So I could be wrong, but judging from the picture, it almost looks like she's on the highway. And for the age of 5, I believe she should be in a booster seat. Or actually, to be even more accurate, a lot of those seats, they go by weight, followed by a seatbelt and all that stuff, So I thought that was a little weird. Maybe this is common practice for them. Maybe this is something that people out there don't know, don't practice, or don't think it's a big deal. I'm very surprised that anybody could place a 2-year-old in a car. Now, they said there wasn't car seats, and I mean in a car without a car seat, but they said there wasn't car seats, but they don't know if the kids had seat belts on. Let me tell you, these two little girls they look very petite. So that little 2-year-old in a seatbelt is not going to stop her from going anywhere. The family has a GoFundMe. They're almost at, I think, 25,000 for the funeral services. I don't know if they're going to raise it up more. And the foundation of my channel actually started on baby products and baby safety. So maybe once in a while, I'll use these stories and I'll make some sort of educational videos. I never thought there would be a day where I'd have to make a video and sit here and say, put a car seat in the car for your child. Like, I've never thought that would be something that you would have to explain to people. Even in the hospital, when you leave the hospital, before you leave the hospital and you have an infant child, they do a car seat test. They want to make sure your car seat's fine, not the baby. They monitor the oxygen levels. I don't even think you can leave the hospital without having a car seat for the baby. So it's just kind of a little mind blowing to me. So I wanted to end off on a couple of statistics that nobody's probably going to care about. Nobody's probably going to watch this video. But it almost makes me wonder if this is somewhat cultural too. And I don't know in what way, but it says here, more black, 45%, and more Hispanic, 46% children were not buckled up compared with white, 26% children in 2009 to 2010. More of the older children between 8 and 12 years old were not buckled up compared with the younger children, 47. And 21% of those were under the age of 4. This was in 2016. Now, restraint use among children often depends upon the driver's seatbelt use. Almost 40% of children riding with unbelted drivers were themselves unrestrained. So that's a really interesting statistic. So people that don't drive with their seatbelts are more likely to not put some sort of restraint for the children themselves. That's pretty crazy. It's kind of telling, right? There was also a CDC study here. It says one study found that 1 year In 1 year, more than 618,000 children ages between newborn and 12 rode on vehicles at least some of the time without the use of restraint, be it car seat, booster seat, or seatbelt. That's crazy, ain't it? So it happens a lot more than I thought. I want to run by some of these stats really quickly too. Properly used car safety seats can reduce the chance of death by 70% in infants under 1 year old and 54% in toddlers between 1 and 4 years old. That's what I was kind of saying too. Where this person's like, "Oh well, things in life happen. When it's your time to go, when it's your time to go." What I was saying is that this could have been preventable. That one or two of those girls could have been alive today. And I mean, it happened already. You know, it's not to like go back and try to. What happened happened. But what I'm saying is that people need to put their kids in car seats. It's ridiculous not to. Here it says booster seat use can reduce the chance of serious injury by 45% in children aged 4 to 8. Seatbelt use reduces the chance for death by up to 50% in older children and adults. An estimated 59% of car seats and 20% of booster seats are installed or used improperly. About 40% of children riding with adults who are not. Oh, I just read that. And then it also says restraining children in rear seats rather than front seats can also reduce the risk of death by up to 75% for children under 4 and by 50% for children aged 4 to 8. So it's an interesting thing. It makes me wonder, is this somewhat cultural? And what I mean by that too is I'll really quickly, right before I end this video, I had a guy reach out to me months ago, a young guy, and he was going through a lot of stuff. And I reached out to me. I spoke to him on the phone. He was telling me about all the different things he was going through. And he's a young black guy. And I was like, why don't you maybe go talk to somebody, like a therapist. I've gone to therapy before, a long time ago, when my dad passed, and several times after too. And therapy for me is really hit or miss. There's some really crappy people that really don't do anything for you, and there's people that actually can. So I was kind of suggesting maybe go talk to somebody, maybe see a doctor for some of the symptoms you're having, like try to go get your body checked out, all this kind of stuff. And he's like, "You crazy?" And I was like, "What do you mean?" I was like, "Why don't you go?" He's like, "Oh, my parents, man." He's like, my parents are black. And I'm like, "Oh, what does that mean?" He's like, "Oh, well, they don't believe in therapy, or there's like a stigma for mental health. And I wouldn't even say just blacks, but even certain families, maybe not black, Spanish, whatever. Everything is so mixed these days. I'm pretty much mixed, but there's a stigma within certain families. I didn't have that in my family, but he literally like almost choked and laughed when I said, go get checked out, talk to your parents. I think he might be under 18, that's why. So he was like, there's no way his parents would look at him crazy. You know what I'm saying? So that's what I kind of mean. Like, maybe, I don't know if it's a cultural thing. Crazy to think that any parent could put a child in a car, 2 years old, newborn. But apparently it happens more often than you think. The stats here, too, show that the issue has been getting better. So by these stats, it has been improving, I guess awareness. But I don't know, man. You guys coming along? Have a good night. Peace. I should have been in bed like an hour ago. Peace.
I see potential subscribers. Subscribe for more. This is the mother info war.